Hey, I just taught a class and I wanted to shoot this video while I still had some energy and a little bit of sunlight. Um, this video is about 13 tips to help you crush the next job interview that you go on. I've been a recruiter for 30 years and I've coached hundreds of people through this interview process, and I've found that more often than not it's nerve-wracking for people. It frightens people, it makes them uncomfortable, makes them anxious. And so I thought maybe I could allay some of those fears, maybe eliminate some of that anxiety, or mitigate some of the emotion that goes into feeling unprepared or not knowing what to expect. So I'm just going to knock out these 13 tips. They're pretty straightforward. I think in hindsight you'll probably say, "No, that makes perfect sense." And maybe you know some of these already, but better safe than sorry. Number one is research the company that you're going to go meet with. I know that sounds obvious, but I'm talking deep dive. I mean, go to the website, go to all the menu tabs, check out what's in the news, recent acquisitions, mission statements, vision statements, cultural information, anything that you can find that puts you in a position where you can speak to these people in an educated fashion and you can give them a very distinct impression, not only that you care, but that you're prepared. So that's number one, research the company. Number two, research the people that you're going to meet with. And this is pretty easy nowadays. 3 resources right off the top of my head. Google, very simple. LinkedIn, see if they have profiles and dig into their profiles. And an application called Who Knows. It's a more recent machine learning based application that kind of scours the internet for public information on people and compares profile information to see what's accurate and consistent. In between those 3 resources, you ought to be able to really understand who you're speaking with professionally, what their backgrounds are, where they've worked before. Maybe there's information professionally about their opinion on certain things, white papers, that kind of stuff. Stay away from the personal sites, Facebook, Instagram. You know, talking about people's personal lives is just going to make you look creepy. So there's a balance there, but dig into their backgrounds professionally and be prepared to speak with them in an educated fashion without kind of kissing their ass. Number 3, Google and review quote unquote most common interview questions. I recently went out online to prepare for this, and I did just that, and there must have been 10 plus listings of most common interview questions. I would say get the top 50 and you'll see common threads in those top 50, and just study those 50 questions, bounce them off people whose opinions you trust, collaborate with other people. And if you do that, you know, spend an hour doing that, you'll be more prepared for this interview than any of your competitors, and you'll minimize the likelihood that there'll be any surprises. So that's number 3. Number 4, treat everyone politely, professionally, and enthusiastically. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come back and say, "I don't know why I didn't get the job." And then I talk to the client and I find out that somebody was in the coffee room or the break room or in the parking lot or the elevator, or they were just somewhere where they thought no one was listening and no one was watching. And even if they thought someone might be listening, they didn't attribute that person to being part of the decision-making process. But that person heard you say something stupid or say something, profane or whatever, and they went back and they became part of the decision-making process. So that's a really lousy way to lose an opportunity. So just be on guard, like from the time you get out of your car until the time you get back into your car. Okay? Everyone gets treated respectfully, politely, and professionally as if they were part of the interview process, part of the decision-making process. Number 5, never put a number on an application where it says, what are you looking for, desired compensation, expected salary, any forward-thinking request for a number. Never put a number in there, never put a range in there. And let me just kind of explain the logic behind that and give you a couple of options. So the options are open or negotiable, or a third or fourth word that means the same thing. And here's the logic you can use if someone is perceiving you as being evasive, or you're worried about being perceived as being evasive. And that is, look, you're just walking into an interview. Maybe you even had a phone conversation, and you certainly looked at a job description and gone online and done some research. But do you really understand everything that you need to know about the job to be able to say, this is exactly what I'm looking for? You don't. And no one should expect you to do that. Now, I understand why the clients want you to do that, because they want to see if you are within the range rather than waste their time. But I think they should understand as well that an intelligent person wouldn't commit to a specific number without all of the information necessary required to make a professional decision. So ironically, even though it might seem as though that's an evasive tactic, if you explain yourself properly, it's going to make you look more intelligent and responsible, because that's what an intelligent person would do. Make a decision based on all the known information that they could get their hands on. So please never put a figure in a box. Because, and frankly, a range, if you put a range in the box, who's going to offer you the top end of that range? You've committed to the low end. So there's no upside to that. So unless there's a specific and unique circumstance that I can't think of right now, where you might think, if I don't put a number in there, I'm going to lose the opportunity to even get the interview, then I suppose that would be a situation where you could put a number in the box. Just understand what you're giving up and the position you're putting yourself in if you commit to a number that early on in the process. Okay? Number 6, never bring up money. That is not yours to initiate. That is not a topic that you initiate or bring up ever. And while we're on the topic of money, I mean anything self-serving, anything to do with compensation, benefits, time off, sick days, vacation days, 401k contributions, perks, anything self-serving is not yours to bring up. You are to be prepared to have that discussion when they bring it up. And if they bring it up, that means they're interested in you. And now you're in a position of leverage. So not only do you give yourself more leverage, but you're not going to be perceived as self-serving. Who wants to hire someone who's more concerned about what's in it for them than for our entity? No one. So again, I've told 1 million people that, and 500,000 have actually brought it up. So it's another one of those things, trust me, don't initiate that discussion. And I can show you how to be prepared to talk about money in another video. Just don't bring it up. Number 7, keep your answers concise. And here's what I mean by that. Don't ramble. It's very often the case that the proper and appropriate answer is yes or no. When you give more information than you need to give, you're only opening up a potential Pandora's box. You're only opening up the possibility that you're going to say something that's either not relevant, not of interest to them, or turns them off in some capacity. Rarely have I ever seen an example of an upside in someone answering a question and then offering more information. Wait for someone to say, could you expand on that, please? Or I'd love to hear your opinions on that. Or could you go deeper into that topic or broader into that topic? But generally speaking, to give people more than is required of you, you're just exposing yourself, okay? Number 8, be conscious of your body language. And this begins upon meeting somebody. This is the handshake. This is the eye contact. Firm handshake, look them right in the eye. That is the only acceptable way to meet somebody. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, young or old, middle-aged, race, ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Culture doesn't matter. You look people in the eye and you shake their hands. Now, I suppose if you're in another country and the culture dictates that you bow or do something else, that's not what I'm talking about. But over here in the US of A, you want to basically be sending the signal right out of the gate. I'm confident, I'm respectful, I'm professional. A wet noodle handshake with a little look off to the side, and I've gotten those from big, strong guys before. And I've gotten those from confident women before. It sends the message that you're not confident. It sends the message that you're shy or reserved or uncomfortable. It's all negative. And frankly, think of it this way. If you shake my hand like a wet noodle, like a dead fish, and you don't look me in the eye, why would I ever want to put you in front of my customer? Or why would I ever want you associating with my colleagues or my other employees? I wouldn't. So that begins the body language. The rest of it's sitting up straight, posture, the way you walk, the way you stand, the way you give room in closed spaces like elevators and things like that. Body language is important. Oftentimes we just focus on verbal communication and written communication, which is very important, but body language is key. Pay attention to it. And remind yourself during the course of the interview, because interviews can sap you of energy. They're very taxing and very energy consuming, so slouching is going to be kind of natural maybe if you get tired. Anyway, just set that expectation and remind yourself during the course of the interview. Number 9, bring copies of your resume. Bring a bunch of copies. I don't know how many people are on the agenda, but I would bring twice as many as are on the agenda, because particularly if things go well, oftentimes people will want to introduce you to other people that might not have been on the agenda but are available, and they just want to kind of spread the good news. The resume should be in a portfolio, a nice leather portfolio that you can get at Office Depot for $10, because image is key, not a manila folder. And because you've got room, put your pad of paper in there, put your pencil or your pen in there. Old school. Image preparedness, okay? Number 10 kind of transitions from number 9. That pad of paper in the portfolio, that's where you have your 10 questions, okay? Minimum of 10. 15 if you got them. And if you've done your research on tips number 1, 2, and 3, you ought to be able to bring in 50 questions. That might be overkill. So 10 is kind of a good rule of thumb. Again, this indicates a state of preparedness, a level of interest, a level of professionalism. This is the same way you're going to treat projects that they might give you if you become their employee or one of their leaders or managers, whatever the description of the job is that you're interviewing for. So these little kind of nuanced details send signals, okay? And even if they answer some questions that you've brought with you during the course of the interview, all you need to do when it comes time at the end of the interview and they say, have you any questions for us or for me? You say, yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. And you flip open your pad and you say, well, you've answered numbers 1, 4, and 7. So let me skip right to 2. And then you're at least showing them that you've thought that through. The fact that they already answered the question is irrelevant. You brought it with you. It was something you were curious about. Okay, so bring 10 questions with you. Anyone who shows up to an interview with me, at the end of the interview, when I look at them and I say, what questions have you for me? And they say, gosh, you answered all my questions. I don't really have any questions. I think to myself, really? You know everything you need to know about me? You know everything you need to know about us and the job and where we're going and how you might fit in? I don't think so. And 99 out of 100 times, I'm just going to leave one in there just in case there's some sort of really circumstance that I can't even think of right now. That interview's done. I'm over. I'm not hiring that person, because it just shows a lack of interest, a lack of preparedness. And that bleeds into your behavior if you come to work for me. So I don't think I'm alone in that regard. Number 11, sell yourself confidently and specifically. And I'll tell you a story. I recently helped my 2 adult daughters, young adult daughters, I should say, find work. And in the course of this particular topic, they would say both to me, Dad, I can't brag about myself. It makes me really uncomfortable. I really have a tough time bragging about myself. And I say, well, shift your mindset. It's not bragging, okay? Bragging is boastful, arrogant, blowing your own horn. What I'm talking about is tell these people how good you are and then bring metrics to support that behavior. And metrics could be awards, numbers, revenue, profit, sales, hires, retention figures, projects brought in under budget and on time, projects brought in before time. Depending on the industry and the nature of your job, these metrics could be different. But when you bring metrics to support confident salesmanship of yourself, that's not boastful. That's just professional. So if you're unsure about selling yourself, shift your mind from boasting to supporting that boastful statement in your mind with metrics. And I think that'll kind of free you up. Number 12, another one of my pet peeves. At the end of the interview, do not leave without asking for the job. Okay, and I'll give you some phrasing here, but I want you to use your own voice. The point is, do not end the interview with thank you, nice to meet you, look forward to hearing from you, see ya. No, okay? That might be part of the tail end of this, but this is what you do in your own voice. Gosh, I just want to thank you for your time. It was really a very interesting day. I enjoyed meeting everybody. And I got to tell you, I am very, very enthusiastically inclined. I think I could not only bring a lot to the table, but I think I could learn a ton from you. And culture looks great, environment looks great, loved all the people. just want to let you know I really would like this job. I'd really love to come to work for you. So again, use your own words, but people love to be loved. And let me frame that for you for more impact, okay? You're in competition with one other person for this job, and you want this job, and the other person wants this job. And the other person leaves the interview and says, gosh, thanks so much for your time. I really enjoyed the day, and I really appreciate you taking the time. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks again. Bye. And you come in, similar experience, similar attitude, similar education, similar compensation requirements, everything else is apples to apples. And you look them right in the eye and say, thanks for your time, really had a good time today. Thank you for, thanks again for introducing me to everyone else, blah, blah, blah. I just want to let you know I really want this job. I think I could bring a ton to the table, and I also think I could learn a ton from you, back to my previous statement. And that's how you end the interview. Who do you think gets the job? You get the job. All other things considered, what a wonderful and simple way to beat out your competition. But having not done that, what an awful way to lose the opportunity. Just a couple of phrases. So that's huge. Don't minimize the importance of asking for the job. Number 13, and this is more for your benefit than anyone else's, but it's a nice test as well as to how things went. And I'll circle back to that in a second, but leave with very specific expectations of the path forward. And here's what I mean by that. I'll also pose this hypothetical scenario. Thanks for the opportunity. I really want the job, all that other stuff that we talked about. Hey, Mark, we should be able to get back to you in a couple of days. So thanks again for stopping by, and have a great day. Okay, yeah, no, that'd be great. I'd love to hear from you. No. That's your opportunity to put them in a box. That's your opportunity to eliminate the frustration that will come if you allow that general statement to hang in the air and don't box it up. 3 days go by, you haven't boxed that up. I don't know what to do. They haven't called me back. I don't want to be a pest. I don't know if I should call them or email them, or what should I do? Well, you didn't set a specific expectation. Here's the specific expectation. The interview that you're in right now is Tuesday. It's the end of the day on Tuesday, and you thank them, you ask for the job, it's time to go. Hey, Mark, we'll get back to you in a couple of days. That sounds fantastic. So a couple of days I guess that'd be Thursday. So if I don't hear from you by Thursday at the end of the day, close of business, why don't I give you a call on Friday at 10 a.m.? Does that work? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Done. Now, no matter what happens, they might not be ready to decide on Friday at 10 a.m., but you have permission now to call him. And you can't be perceived as a pest because they said that would be a great idea. So it doesn't get you the job. It doesn't close things out. But if you don't do that, I promise you, you're going to feel on Friday, when you wake up on Friday, not having heard back, you're going to be in a panic. You're going to be anxious. You're going to be scared. You're going to be confused. And you're not going to know what your options are. But it's going to be your responsibility now, because I just told you, box it up, be specific. And one of my favorite mentors, a gentleman that had taught me a ton, said to me something that resonated. He said a lot of things that resonated to me, but one in regard to this is, Mark, the best sign that you had a great meeting is that you scheduled the next meeting. Okay, there's 13 tips. Hopefully you got some nuggets in there. Hopefully I just mitigated some of your anxiety and gave you some ideas of things to do so you could put yourself in a state of preparedness. I think you're now more prepared than 95% of the people that you're going to go and compete against in the interview process. And I think it increases your chances of getting the job you're looking for and the money you're looking for by 100-fold. So listen, crush the next job interview you go on. Any comments, please leave them below. I'll put some notes below, the 13 tips and a couple of links to related resources. But again, we're 7pillarsglobal.com. And we're all about professional development supported by personal development. So come visit us, engage us, ask us questions, and we look forward to helping in any way we can. Have a great day.